हरि ओम दीर्घायुष्मान भव सर्वव्याधि निवारण प्राप्तिरस्तु सर्व ऐश्वर्यम अभिवृद्धिर्भवतु. Okay, so I'm continuing my part 11 in English, comparative religions, Hinduism versus Christianity. So I'm continuing. See, these are the effects of the negative energies. So many deaths have taken place in the Christian world, in Europe, who became Christians. But these preachers suppress all these things. That they should not do. Especially some preacher, he will say, everything, if you believe in Christ, all your sorrows will be removed. I have heard such lectures. And they will stage manage, bring actors who are handicapped, who are blind or something, who are dumb, and they will not start speaking, start seeing, start walking. See, these things of tricks or, it is, I would say, cheating people. You should not do that if you are really a honest man, because it can be challenged. And the preacher himself is not that spiritual or that embedded with miraculous powers. Many of our acharyas in India have miraculous powers. They don't exhibit. Some exhibit for the welfare of humanity. Most of them may not exhibit. But here, if you see the Christian preachers, they will only be exhibiting, which they don't have. Otherwise, how could thousands in 1755, 80,000 people die on All Saints' Day when they were preaching in the church? Where was Jesus, if I ask them? Where was their God? 1793, own French people killing, blasting a church. See, not only this, if you take right from Constantine's time, what happens to these negative energies? Constantine, that much I was seeing a BBC documentary, was not really carrying a cross or something like a cross. But then after 30-40 years, all the fall of the Roman Empire came. When Constantine converted himself based on a preacher into a follower of Christianity, they say in 325 AD, the Council of Nicaea or something they call. After his death, in around 410 AD, Rome was sacked by Alacri, a barbarian from the north, from the Scandinavian side. The barbarians always used to invade Rome. That is the normal, even during Julius Caesar time, Spartacus. They called him a rebel or a barbarian. Sacked Rome. Rome was put to fire. 535 AD, most in some churches in Europe, they all burned in Belgium, in France, in Norway. If they had some churches, one or two they had, because they were all pagans at that time. Up to 800, 900 AD, I am sure if you see the documentary called Vikings by Netflix, it's a movie. You can understand that paganism was there up to 800, 900 AD in all the Scandinavian countries, in northern countries. Paganism means they call Hindus as pagans, means we worship nature, we worship different gods. Like the Vikings all worship what is known as Thor, the god of thunder, Odin, like our Devendra, god of fire. They were worshipping the nature. And they were benefited also, I would say. They used to conquer all this. They come up to England by boats, by boats. It's a big boat. And they used to beat them to pulp. The English king at the time in Northumbria, one was ruling. The Vikings, led by, I think it's Ragnar, they call him as Ragnar Lothbrok, they call him. He was a very famous Viking. Though some exaggerations are there about him, about his superiority and about his talent. He looted all these churches, even killed those head priests and monks, captured one of them also and took him to Scandinavia, northern areas, to England. Sir, there has been a devastation, a sad shade of sorrow, like what is known as the Black Plague was there. In around 400 AD, after Constantine converted Rome into a Catholic or a Christian nation, that's what they say in history, which I am also not agreeing with. That history is being just twisted. These time spans and all this 400 A after the Common Era or something like that really does not mean the 24-hour modern time which we are following for the last 700, 800 years. It's all exaggerations, that's all. And then what happened? There was the Black Plague. There was the Justinian plague around this 500 years, 3,500 years before the present day. Say 400 years after the common, 500 years after the common era, there was a Black Plague which killed everybody. Everybody means about 3,000, 4,000 people dying in a small area is a huge figure. 200 people dying, it's a huge figure. Justinian plague. And the Spanish plague broke out in 1918 or something in Spain. 50 million people died, they say. or 5 crore people, I would say definitely 50 million people had died as per the statistics they are revealing. Even today's corona in the Christian world, America has lost 1 million nearly, Brazil has lost nearly a million, 900,000, 2 million. Likewise, if you take, there must be about 7 to 8 to 9 million people who have already died, all from this European world. Mostly 90% of them. Then why not in China or Japan? Not so much of death. They were all Buddhist countries. They meditate. Their culture is just like Indian culture. All these things, if you ask questions, why he could not save so many people, and you are coming and telling he will save me. May save me, that's a different thing, but your way of preaching and marketing is not 100% true. Don't try to convert a native, especially Hindus, into your religion, because Hinduism is so fantastic. If you come for an argument, I will put verse after verse. In Hinduism only we have what is known as ahimsa. I will quote the verse, chapter 16, verses 1, 2 and 3, what Bhagavan Krishna says. I am going to quote. So when you start worshipping all these negative energies, as I told you, please see my part 1, 2 and 3. It's very important because I have given the physics portion of it, scientific portion of it, double slit experiment, iron Bell's theorem, Stevak's experiment, and how atoms talk to each other, and they know. They are not aware of good or bad, but they know somebody is preferring them by law of attraction, by magnetism. See, if you take some cross or something like that, there will be a lot of sorrowful, dark energy, electrons or fermions or bosons circling around it, just like an insect, it circles around a meat or a blood or a dirty thing or a urine or something. It will be circling. You would have seen mosquitoes, small tiny insects which are not even visible to your eye. Likewise, these fermions and bosons and electrons would be swirling around. So if you think that you prey on a negative area, they think they like you, they want you, and they would come to you. Because I told you, in two electrons coming from the same energy source, the measurement of one affects the measurement of the other irrespective of the distance. So these insects or these atoms around the dark field, it's called the dark field, negative field, would be circling, swirling around that negative area. If it is a cross symbol, if it is a dead body, if it is an area of even a cremation ground, if you start worshipping daily, if you go to the cremation ground, negative energies can enter. Negative energies may be energies of sorrow, pain, and they can come birth after birth to you. That's why in Hinduism we have always positivity. We show as if God is having a lot of weapons to protect us. We have the energy, the matter, the Shiva, or Parvati, or Vishnu, or Lakshmi, or Brahma, or Saraswati. Everything has to have its pair, right? Energy and matter, otherwise the equation is not there. So that is what the scientific there. Therefore, we Hindus follow what is known as Spinoza's God in a way. That is, God is in nature. He is Maha. We say Vishnu. As I told you, Vish is presence, Anu is atom. Vishnu. So that means God is there in a dust, in a pillar, inside the devil, inside the hell, inside the heaven. He has to be all pervading. And he is omnipotent and all powerful, all bliss. That's what we define. And Shankaracharya Bhagavad Pada says he has intelligence. Whereas Buddha had a slight viewpoint difference. He says it is a state of unborn, uncreated and unmanifested. If there is no such state of unborn, uncreated and unmanifested, there is no escape for the born, the created and the manifested. That's the Buddha's idea. But that Paramatma is there, but we worship the forces of nature just as you worship various teachers, various doctors. We worship the forces of nature for our earthly body benefit of 90 or 100 years. And for eternity, Paramatma, we meditate. We teach you meditation, which is a very important concept. Because you will be hitting those frequencies, Einstein's frequency. That's what I told you very clearly. Therefore, in Hinduism, negativity is abandoned. So that is the very fundamental point, because the negativity was there, sorrows, dukkhas, troubles, where in the Christian world, where in the European world, right from the First World War, Second World, now it's easy, Christians biting each other. in Ukraine and Russia and all those other things. See the tensions going on, how many people are dying. Such wars, everything did not happen in India, sir. See, you may talk of Ashoka Chakravarti, okay, he did some war, small war, and he felt for it. Or if you want to talk of the earlier Mahabharata war, it is between cousins, it's not a war. It was a skirmish, a battle, and in Mahabharata it's called Dharma Yuddha, because in that war there were rules of the game. That is, the physicians, the doctors are same for both the armies. That is, if one is the same doctor treats both the Duryodhana's army as well as the Pandava army, Kaurava army as well as the Pandava army. The cooks were from Pandya kingdom, southern India, and they were cooking for both the armies, the Kauravas and the Pandavas. And the other people who were advisors, they were from both, from the Kaurava and from the Pandava. After 6 o'clock in the morning, after the conch shell blown, only the war can start, and it has to close in the evening, in the Surya's Udayastam, from Udayam to Astamanam. So at the Astamanam period, ending period, they will blow a conch. You can't fight, they don't fight. And if a man gets out of the battlefield, you cannot chase and kill him. Or if he is a Nirayudapani, he has no arms, you cannot kill an armless, an innocent man, something like that. You cannot kill him. You have to ask him to go and bring the arm and fight with him. Bring the weapon and fight with him. A horse soldier will only fight with a horse soldier. A horse soldier will not kill a foot soldier. A foot soldier fights with a foot soldier. The king fights with the king. The prince fights with the prince. The commanders fight with the commanders. The elephant rider fights with the elephant rider. See, Bhagavan Krishna, what he did, his own army he gave to Kaurava. And he said, I will assist you, Pandava. Because when Yudhishthira Dharmaraja sat at the foot of Bhagavan, when Bhagavan opened his eyes, he saw only Yudhishthira. So he asked him what he wanted. He said he wanted like that. So he gave the choice. The Yudhishthira wanted Bhagavan, whereas Duryodhana took his soldiers. Both wanted Bhagavan's help, Lord Krishna's help. See, even there you see the dharma. Which country you will have the king giving his soldiers to somebody? Most of them, I am not aware. Where after morning and there is a common physician, there is a common food maker and all. I am not aware, even in the olden times in Europe. But why I am saying is, we were a country of ahimsa. I am going to quote all those verses of ahimsa. Therefore, dear my dear Christian preachers, there is no equivalent to Hinduism. If you want to come for a debate with Hinduism versus Christianity, I am prepared. I can quote, I am going to quote, in my future parts, I am going to quote. Therefore, these things have to be indoctrinated in the minds of these preachers and the Indian preachers who out of a sudden they are so encouraged because they are employed as a Christian. That's what I would say by the church. Okay. But instead of praising their own God, they will come and see, you change yourself to my religion and my God is a supreme, is a true God. A foreigner was talking to me that only Jesus is the true God. I said, my dear, the word God itself is enough. The true is an oxymoron. It is why you want to say a cold ice. Ice is cold. You see, they talk through their hat without understanding, as if he came from death. He was dead for 3 days. So I saw in one of the YouTube's comments how a man can die for 3 days. If a person dies for 3 days, he cannot be God, because God can never die. Then after he comes back to life, people say they saw him for 40 days or so. Then why did not Caiaphas convert himself to Christianity? That's the biggest miracle. If a person comes back to life, everybody will follow him in that area at least. Caiaphas did not convert. Pilate did not convert. Tiberius, the contemporary Roman ruler, did not convert. Caligula, his son, did not convert. The next fellow, nobody converted. That is the biggest one. Biggest miracle. And even today, Jerusalem has 74% Jews. Judaism. 18% Islam. Ottomans Islam. You have only 2% Christians. And I saw a YouTube, the last tomb of Jesus Christ, where every modern building has come. So the researchers go down and say, finally they say, I have found the tomb of Jesus. Or his name was Yeshua or something. I have found, they shouted. But the next inside that also there was a marking. It is Joseph, son of Jesus. Both. Joseph was never the son of Jesus, but that means there are a lot of people by the name of Jesus, Yeshua, Joseph. That's a Abrahamic name. That is a Jewish name. That has got nothing to do with anybody else. There are a lot of like our Sharmas, like our Arumugams, like our Srinivasans. You have a lot of common names, and after 3,000 years, which is that Srinivasan, which is this Sharma, it's very difficult to trace to a single individual. And Shapiro of American Scientific Journal editor says Mary Magdalene may have had a vision, not a physical Jesus coming and there. Because where is he now? Everybody has vision. Everyone has vision of the dead because of their mind structure. There is nothing miraculous happening. In Roman, in this Middle East history, even Mithra was reborn. He came back. Andreas, everybody saw after his death coming back, getting out of the tomb and walking. Andreas. People say Achilles was resuscitated by his own mother Peleus after he was killed in the battle of Troy. Even the guru of Jesus was resuscitated. And then he was killed by King Herod. His head was cut. That's all those comes in the Bible, but I do not know how it can happen, all those things. So there are a lot of, that is a way of their expression that he comes back to life. There is something that you have to believe him, he is the greatest. There is no historical proof. And there cannot be, because any God cannot die for 3 days and come back to life. Either he would not have died, he would have come back, or if he died, that means death, finished. For 3 days, if you are not in existence in this universe, then you are not all powerful. A common sense, if you analyze logically, nothing will be logical here. If, as per the claims of Benny Hinn or Billy Graham who had died, that Jesus alone can do miracles and he can bring back all goodness to you, why did the Pope in 2020, when Corona was there, why did he shut down for fearing Corona in the Vatican for about 10 or 15 days? No Easter was performed. That was a report I got. I do not know whether it is 100% true, but there's a report I saw in the newspapers. Even Vatican is closed in 2020. When he is already there, 24 into 7 into 365, with that Vatican is nothing but the center for Jesus Christ, why he has to be afraid of Corona? When he is so sure of his Christ helping him. See, all these acharyas are wonderful people. We should not even talk anything ill of them. They are as Vasudhaiva Kudumbam, they are our family, they are spiritual persons, they are good persons, and they are required for the society. But if the preachers, in order to market, Christ did not talk of Christianity. Christ, if at all he existed, spoke of good for the humanity. But these Churchian priests, to market and to have a living for themselves and have a control or power for themselves, if they do all types of these marketing gimmicks and then convert my Hindu brethren to Christianity, then here at this point I would like to place my objection. It is not the correct way. You cannot dupe a person. You cannot convert like this, either with money or through false promises. Never do that. If people realize, let them realize. But this is what it is. And your projection of lying on a cross with bleeding and all, I don't accept, because it is negativity. You can ask anybody. It is disrespect to the great person also. Okay, my dear friends, the more of this I shall bring out in the next episodes. Till such time, Bhuyat, Tavat, Shubha Mangalam, Hari Om, Dirghayushman Bhava, Sarvam Abhivriddhir Bhavatu, Sarva Saundharyam Api. Dhanyavad.